started. So, thanks very much for coming, everybody. My name's Adam. I am one of the careers consultants as part of the careers team. And over the course of this session, what I'm going to be doing is essentially talking about the careers fair, what it is, why you would be interested, and how to make the most out of it. Careers fairs are one of the things that we shout about. They're one of our biggest events. And from my perspective, at least, it can be really, really useful for a number of different reasons. So let's, I guess, address that. Why would you even bother going? What's the point? Now, I would argue that whatever position you're in, they are really useful events, even if you are someone who doesn't know what they want to do. And if you are, please don't feel any judgment. That's absolutely fine. A careers fair can be really useful, though, still, even if you've no idea what you want to do. You can speak to people about the different roles that are on offer and get exposure to lots of different types of roles in different organizations. One of the things that I fight quite hard against this kind of misconception that, let's say, an engineering firm only has engineering roles or an accountancy firm only has accountancy roles. These organizations are quite big and have lots of different roles, and they might still potentially be a really interesting employer. Yes, I will be showing the QR code later on in the session, so you'll have another opportunity to do that. Don't worry too much about that. So just for figuring out what you want to do, they can be really valuable. It's also super easy, right? This event is going on over 2 days. It's from 10 to 4. That's Tuesday and Wednesday. You don't need an appointment. You don't need masses of preparation, although I am going to be talking about some of the preparation you should do. But it's really easy to just go along and speak to as many or as few employers as you want. If you only know that you want to go to one or two employers, great. Or if you want to go to all of them, I mean, it might be a big ask, but you can do that. It's completely up to you. And I guess the other thing to think about is how in demand you are. Like, these employers are coming on specifically to meet you guys. Okay. We are still one of the most highly sought after universities when it comes to the top graduate employers coming to speak to our students. I think we're second now, slightly behind Birmingham, but they're still really interested in getting to speak to you and potentially recruiting you. That's what an employer gets out of coming to these fairs. It's an opportunity for them to spot talent and do what they call talent pipelining, but also recruiting for roles that they actually have available or even their grad schemes. So it's a win-win on both sides, right? So whatever position you're in, I'd still suggest going. And even if it's, you know exactly what you want to do, you know which employers to go to, and maybe they don't have any roles available right now, it's really valuable to gather as much information as you possibly can to make your application stronger. It's one of the things I talk about when I talk about networking. I call it low-key networking, in a sense, putting the pressure off. But basically, you go to these organizations, you go to these people at the fair, and don't necessarily ask for a job straight away, but ask things that can make your application stronger and easier. Things like, when do you recruit? How do you recruit? Do you use any particular websites, or do you not use any websites and just your own? What do you look for in graduates? Are there any particular skills that I should be highlighting or experience that you specifically want to highlight? All these things, this intelligence that can really help. And then the last one, it's kind of frivolous, but still always cool. Loot. All of these organizations are going to come with masses of freebies. Just, it could be a keyring, it could be a hoodie, it could be all sorts, right? So come and have a look. What have you got to lose? Would be my thing to say. This is what it's going to look like. This is the one in Whitworth Hall. So it's in Whitworth Hall Tuesday and Wednesday. You'll see quite a lot of buzz, but still quite a lot of space. What I would suggest is think about when it is you want to go and maybe carve out some time when you think might be best for you. It could be in between lectures. It could be just on a day that you're free and you want to come down. Okay. Now, there are a few things that I would suggest that you do ahead of time if you can. Probably the most powerful is make a short list. Make a list of the employers that you are interested in, because Once you get there, it can be quite overwhelming sometimes. There's going to be a lot of people, might be difficult to find people potentially. So you want to know which employers are on the top of your list and ones you know you really want to speak to. Once you've got that out of the way, then you can just kind of, float and have a look at the other different employers. But if you know there are some specific ones that you want to speak to, make that list and make sure you hit it. Because of that, make sure you've got enough time. The time at these events can go quite quickly. Depending on how many employers you want to go to, maybe around an hour might be enough. Maybe you need more. That will be up to you, but think about it. How many employers do you want to speak to? Do you know who they are? Allow enough time to do that and make sure you've got relevant questions ready. These things that I talked about previously, the things that are going to make your application stand out, make the application process easier, those things can be really helpful. And just coming into an interaction, knowing what you're going to say and knowing what you want to find out from them, that can be really helpful, and do some research for this. Along with that, things like updating your CV, updating your LinkedIn profile can be really helpful. You don't need to put a huge amount of time into it, but just a little once over can be really valuable. And then think about what it is you would like to tell them. You might have heard of the idea of an elevator pitch. We don't necessarily need literally everything about you, but just maybe some key points about yourself, what you're studying, what you're good at, what you're looking for. That's kind of all we need, really. That again can help kickstart the conversation, get you into your questions. Not looking for masses here, but just a little bit of preparation genuinely goes a really long way. This is even more important for the international students amongst you, because one of the things that we want to do is make your job search as easy as possible and make sure you're having the right conversations. So that research is really important, particularly around whether those employers can sponsor. Now, we actually have a tool that you can use to find this out. It's called eCareersGrad. It sits within the International Student Pathway, all on Career Connect. So that is how you access it. And if you go to this section of the pathway, the eCareersGrad tool, you can see which employers can actually sponsor, but also how many people they have sponsored year on year. So what I would suggest you do is when you are making this target list of companies, cross-reference it with this tool to see not just whether they can even sponsor, so that would suggest are they even worth the conversation, but also how many people they sponsor on the regular. So you can get a sense of how valuable that conversation is going to go. I appreciate it's another hoop you guys have to jump through as international students, but it will just make your whole job search, the whole networking, and this whole event a lot less frustrating because you know who you should be going to and what sort of conversations you should be having. Okay. Now, in terms of the companies, what companies will be there? Dead simple. It's on the event page. This is what you should be doing, checking which employers are actually going, doing a bit of research. If you're an international student, checking whether they can sponsor using that tool, and just doing that research on what roles they've got, what graduate schemes they've got, so that will inform your conversations. Like I say, not a massive amount that we're expecting here. We don't need a huge amount of preparations, hours and hours, but a little bit goes a really long way. Now, on the actual day, what should you be doing? First thing, check for updates. Hopefully, you all follow us on Instagram. If not, any updates will be on there and on the event page. So have a look at those before you go. This might be an extra employer might have joined, or maybe an employer that you're really interested in. Maybe they didn't turn up for whatever reason. Maybe the recruiter was ill, whatever. But go prepared. Check for updates on the actual day. This will help you get in the right frame of mind. Refresh your list in terms of who you want to go to, why, what are you going to do, what are you going to ask. Get your stuff together. Notebook is always good, or something to take notes, whether that's a phone with a notes app, whatever it is. Doesn't matter as long as you're recording things that you're actually talking about. We're not expecting you to record the whole conversation, but any particular nuggets that you get, that you hear, maybe particular websites they use or particular skills they're interested in, note it down and potentially even get the details of the people you're speaking to. So maybe later on, you can follow up with a LinkedIn connection request. And the last one, it's kind of obvious, right? But dress appropriately. That does not mean go suited and booted. That's not this type of event. Smart casual's fine. I mean, it's this time of year, so you're probably not going to be coming in shorts and flip-flops, but just this is potentially the first time that a potential employer is going to speak to you. So dress with that in mind, okay? How do you want to come across? How do you want to present yourselves? Now, in terms of what should I ask, I've already kind of talked about this, the things that will make your job search more effective, the thing I talk about when job searching is taking the sting out of it. So what intelligence, what information would really help you make your job search, make your application stronger and make it the whole thing easier? Things like, how can I stand out? This is my current situation. Are there any things that you would suggest I do to make me a stronger candidate? What jobs are available? Maybe the training. Do I have the right qualifications? Are there other things that I should be looking at? What's your experience? How did you get there? Right? How did you find your current role? Was it a grad scheme? Was it something else? Did you just apply to a graduate role? When were those advertised? When should I be checking these websites? When should I be looking for jobs? All these kind of things that, I can talk to you about until I'm blue in the face, but if you're interested in a very specific employer, they're going to be an expert in it. So get as much information as you can and note it down. Anything that you're interested in, literally, there are no stupid questions here. Now, I already talked about a few of these things, what you actually should do. Make notes, really important. All the things I've talked about. If only because, it will help you record all these things, but it actually kind of looks good. It sets a positive impression. It gives you, or gives the person speaking to you a sense that, oh, right, they're doing this with purpose. Speak to other students, speak to the people at the event. What have they found? Have they found anything interesting? Have they found anything surprising? And maybe that might inform another conversation. Ask us. We're going to have a stall there. If you're lost, if you're not sure who to go to, if you don't know where a particular employer is, come and have a chat. We can point you in the right direction. I already mentioned it, but follow up on LinkedIn. Get the details of these people you've spoken with. Just the name. You don't need like email or anything. And then follow up on LinkedIn, connect with them, send them a connection message. Dead simple. Grow your network, get access to more people. That's what we're after. Which leads me, everybody, to your homework. So events tomorrow and Wednesday. Do that preparation. That's the biggest thing I can suggest. Again, I'm not expecting you to spend hours doing this. Just a little bit of planning. Look at who's going to attend and build that list of who it is you want to go to, why, what you're going to ask, and then do all the things I've spoken about on the day. Things like following up on LinkedIn. That will then help you make better applications. And I've talked about, it says there, enjoy the fair, right? Definitely true. Get as many freebies as you can, loot, enjoy these conversations. The thing I would suggest is go to it with this kind of idea that you are going to it with specific things you want to get out of it, answers to particular questions, things like that. That will help you come away with a really good sense of, was this useful? What more do I need to do? Okay. And I am going to go on to plan B, but before I do, we have had a question. How should we bring up our LinkedIn? Will they want to connect if you were a first, second year, or just graduates? Broadly speaking, they'll want to connect with everybody because a careers fair, it's about recruiting, but it's also about talent pipelining. Now, they could talent pipeline first years for potentially their placements between second and third year. So I would always say, even if you're a second, first foundation year even, always go for it. And in terms of bringing it up, just ask, can I just have your name and I can add you on LinkedIn? Dead simple. Don't need to put any more pressure on than that. Now, depending on how the event goes, you might have found loads of information that's really useful. You might have found that your particular employer, maybe they don't have any graduate jobs this year, maybe they're not sponsoring, maybe whatever else. There could be all sorts of things that maybe you find disappointing. The thing I would say in that instance, particularly for international students, but this goes for everyone really, is think about plan B. So if your potential employer isn't sponsoring or they don't even recruit the roles you're interested in, maybe think about what it is you would want to do afterwards, what it is you would want to do instead of the thing that maybe you thought was plan A. The things that I would suggest is look at some of the tools that we're going to go over in the next couple of slides. First one is Going Global. This again is on our international student pathway, but it's really useful for everyone. They have what they call country career guides, where you can look at different countries, look at the situations in terms of sponsorship, but also the types of roles that are generally advertised in those countries, how recruitment in those countries works. You can get a good sense of, do I want to go to this country? Would it be useful? How do I get there? And what kind of roles are available there? Really useful tool and resource, again, for that kind of plan B. We have had a question, would the fair be for MSc students as well? Absolutely. The thing I'd say, look, it's for all students, MSc, Masters, PGR, undergrad, postgrad, whatever. All students can get a lot out of the fair because they're going to be recruiting everybody. The other thing for plan B, which I really like to suggest, and again, this is working abroad and all that sort of stuff, would be Prospex. Prospex is a student and graduate's Bible, I like to say, because there's loads of information on there. And you can see here again, they have country guides, things about how to work in these different countries, the kinds of roles, how the recruitment market and the labour market work. So again, useful for plan B, even if you're just thinking about working abroad, doing a working holiday, taking a year out, whatever, these things can be really useful and give you that plan B, but also give you that space and time to think about what it is you want to do. I've had another question. The careers fair for the next 2 days says it is aimed at humanities, business students and graduates. Could I go as a tech student? Absolutely, you could. So yeah, it is aimed for humanities and business students to an extent, but those types of employers, and this is true for most employers really, are going to take you whatever your degree is in. Okay, they'll look at your transferable skills. It doesn't have to be, let's say, that you've got a degree from STEM. That doesn't mean that you then have to do a career focused in STEM, do a particular job, or be with a particular employer that's focused on STEM. All big organizations have HR functions. They all have IT departments, as an example. So you can think broadly about these things. I would always suggest that. And whatever your degree discipline is in, it's always worthwhile to go to these fairs because, like you say, the roles that they have are really broad. Okay. Which brings me, everybody, to the end of the session. Now, I did show this at the start, but for anyone who didn't get the chance or joined late or for whatever reason, if you just scan this QR code for me, what this allows me to do is register your attendance at the event. If that doesn't work for whatever reason, what I will do at the very end of this session is put our email address on the screen and in the chat. And if you want the slides and the recording and this didn't work for you, then all you need to do is email us, ask for a recording, ask for the slides, and we'll send it to you, no problem. And then the last thing I want you to do before I show you that is if you could just scan this last QR code for me. This is just to our feedback survey. I really do appreciate if you take the time to fill this out. I know that everyone is fed up with feedback surveys. Everyone has them at the moment. We are really responsive on this. A lot of what we're doing this year is a direct response to the feedback we got last year. If you could do that, I'd be really grateful. And I will stop the recording